The moment everything changed. Welcome back to Do Epic Shit. I'm Colleen Basinski.
And I'm Neil.
And here we are, episode 7.
Ooh, can you believe it's 7 already?
Yeah, we're like rocking and
I'm
rolling.
telling you, geez.
I'm surprised we lasted this long. No, pretty determined.
Yeah, I think I'm pleased.
You know what? It's kind of in sync with how we are in our business, which is a perfect segue to what we're going to talk about.
bet.
Because today's episode is real estate tips and tricks for success, from chaos to clarity. How real estate gave us life, a mission, and a whole lot of lessons worth
That
sharing.
ain't the truth.
Right?
I'm excited about this one, actually. This one is pretty good.
I know you were kind of like, I don't know. if
Yeah,
I
I
can talk about
I
that.
wasn't feeling the whole,
But I always managed to
actually-
rope you in some way or another.
I know, right?
It's been like the history
I
of
think
our
you
life.
gave me either this or that. So, actually, this one is pretty good.
So let's be honest. This business is not for the faint of heart.
God, no. Weren't we just talking about that at lunch today?
This week in itself has been interesting to say the least.
I'd say.
Well, it's been
More interesting for you than me.
But I think you had an interesting week 2 weeks ago. It's like it changes, right?
Yeah.
It ebbs and flows.
Yes. And I think it just comes with the business. The more business you do, the more obstacles and hurdles.
Well, we're going to dive right in. But if you like what you're hearing, subscribe, follow us. We're on Amazon Music Podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Music Podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio. And just follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We're there. Woohoo! Like, subscribe, and follow us. So we didn't start with trust funds or luxury listings, right? We started with grit, determination, and a dream.
Mm-hmm. I started in some not so safe situations, I'd say.
I would agree with that. And if you think back even further, I think I started with $14 in my bank account.
Uh-huh.
Maybe, I don't even think I had a listing appointment yet. I think I had a buyer, an open house,
My first buyer was from an open house.
and a dream to make something happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you have to have that vision or that, I can do it to get you started.
And I'll say that this business gave me everything: career, confidence, a path.
For sure.
The moment everything changed. So I think about if I go back even further before I got into real estate, when I had my oldest son, I was homeless with a baby, just trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, where I was going to go, thought I was going to go to college. Didn't work out so well. And there's different, I watched some of these videos about homeless, and thank God I wasn't homeless living on the street, on the sidewalk. But still, when you're surfing from couch to couch and finding something and figuring stuff out, and where you're going to go and where you're going to stay and what's going to happen, there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Yep.
But that hustle, I think, is what forms us, and what gives us the grit and who we are inside, right?
I agree.
And that's how, we built it. I built it into a multi-state brokerage, ownership and team, and into what we're building right now. I mean, if you think about it, our group, we put 9 million under, almost 9 million, 8.7 million in sales under contract just last month.
That's crazy.
Right?
To think about, we didn't.
I wasn't even selling real estate full time last year.
Yeah, I was just going to
And
say,
you weren't
it's
even
not,
we hadn't even formed this stuff.
Yeah, it hasn't even been a year.
I mean, we're gonna do big things this year.
Yep, we got some numbers.
What's better than the numbers is the impact that we have on the lives.
True.
Think about the people that we're helping in the day to day. And I think that thread will weave through what's helped make us successful in what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I agree.
So Kim, what was the moment you realized you could actually build a life in real estate?
I was probably 4 years in. And I think, I came from stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home mom for 10, 12 years. Did a couple deals back in 2012, 2013. You're dabbling in it. And when I came over to where I met you, that brokerage. Yeah.
For me
right?
too, not just you. I mean,
absolutely.
So you've impacted my life in a lot of really positive ways,
Thank you.
I'm very grateful for it.
Thank you. So when I came there, they would say, again, you'd have people, oh, Kim, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, but you never really can feel that. You're always like, yeah, but I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I don't care. I think it was probably 4 years in, and you should know this too. If I didn't get that $100,000 trophy or that Cappers trophy, I was mad. I was pissed. I think I missed it one year by $200,000-$300,000 or the Cappers.
But I also think think people diminish how important recognition is. Like, we don't do this for the recognition.
No.
But the recognition helps make us feel like we're on the right path.
You bet. It sure does. Even, not so much now, because now I feel like I
still like seeing your face out there.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about who's the top producer for the month, I'm like, ooh, you go, Kim. You still got it.
But it's not as important to me now as it was back then, because here's the reason. I was working so hard, to try and build. And like you said, it's nice to be recognized along the way. So, you're in the grind every day. So many people are coming at you, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. And you're just trying to navigate.
Well, and you don't know who's telling you the truth and who's full of shit, who to follow and where to go and what to do. So we're going to talk about what to do. Like how we built, this is my 25th year in the business.
Yeah. I don't even know. What am I, 15?
At least.
Yeah, at least.
So, obviously, I wouldn't say we've made it, we've arrived, but I would say that, like, anyone who can last with that type of longevity, with this as their full-time career and their sole income, and I heard you on the phone earlier, and I'm going to share some of your personal shit that you probably want me to share, but, like, you're gifting money to your kids so they can buy their first house and, like, doing things that really, without real estate, you wouldn't be doing that.
No way. It has I will say this, it has opened so many doors, so many things that I never thought I'd be able to do. Like that. Pay my house off, buy a new car, buy vacation. You know what I mean? It has allowed me to do a lot of things that I never thought I could do. Well, you guys too.
I could never imagine. First of all, before I got into real estate, I wasn't a homeowner. I'd never been a homeowner. I was a renter.
Yeah.
I was a single mom with kids, my now husband, and he wasn't a homeowner. He was a renter. Like, we didn't know.
Yeah.
And so real estate really caused us to be able to have these opportunities and to create this life and pay it forward to our children and to create basically a legacy for generations to come.
I will say this, getting into real estate and working hard and doing what needed to be done has changed the course of my life and the kids and my kids. For sure. You always think about, like, you get married, you're young, you're starting off, and you always look at, like, oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, but I can't. Gosh, no, my kids were small at the time. Your kids were small. So, you're in a different mode. But to see the opportunities that come your way just because of this is phenomenal.
So, side note, I don't want to bunny trail off track, but I have to share this little story with you. So I was talking to my son this morning. So he just came back. He just finished his second. He already had a law degree. He's already barred attorney. He went back to school to get a specialization in the legal world, call it LLM. I don't know what those initials stand for, but basically, instead of just being an attorney now, he's got a specialization in tax. So he's a tax attorney. He's going to work for a major accounting firm or whatever. But anyway, we're having a conversation this morning. And so he was in Nashville for the weekend with all of his friends that he went to college with. So they're all lawyers and doctors and everything else. And they're looking for rentals, right? Because they're all got new jobs and they're making $200,000, $300,000 a year, right? And they're like, oh, we don't need a realtor. And my son, I got to give him mad props for this. He goes, well, I can understand your position, he said to them. And he's telling me the story this morning. He goes, but I got to say, I grew up around real estate agents and they work hard. They work very hard
Good for him.
He goes, and I worked in a real estate office because he would do that during his summers off college and everything else. He goes, and yeah, there are some realtors that suck, that are lazy, that don't know what they're doing, that just shuffle some paper around and don't do it. He goes, but when you get a good realtor, they're worth every penny. So shout out to you, Kyle, for thank you for giving us those props and realizing it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I felt that was a relevant story and timely. It was this morning, literally this morning, we had this conversation about the difference between what it takes to really be that kind of agent and be successful. So this should appeal to not only agents that are either thinking about getting into the business or struggling and need to know what it takes, or even consumers out there that are thinking, like, what am I looking for in the agent that I want to be in relationship
Super
with?
Important.
So let's just jump right in. So I have down here, the next thing we're going to talk about are the top 5 tips for real estate success. So the first one I have down here is consistency wins. What does consistency look like?
You know what? For me, and I think for most people, and it's such a misconception, people think you're real estate agents, you make your own schedule, you work your own hours, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. I used to tell my husband, you go to work, you clock in, and don't get me wrong, it's physical labor, he's in the trades, you clock in at 7 and you clock out at 3 and you're done. And at the end of the week, you get paid for your hours of work. Real estate agents, you are in the nitty gritty every day. You want to make money. And I don't want to
say that we are not allowed to have a life where you can't set boundaries. I think you can set some sort of boundaries.
I think as you get going.
But I also think that depending on the client, sometimes they need need you. And so I just think, so you're talking about that clocking in and out. So, I mean, I'm 25 years in the business. I could easily step back and just let the rest of the team do the business. But I'm the type of person, first of all, I got to walk the walk. That's who I am. Like, and when we were building this thing and bringing this back together and building the team that you helped name, it was important to me that like I was authentic in what I was talking about. And I will say, and that's not every day, but yesterday I started my day at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was out. I had to go meet with a lender. I had to go meet with a client then at the lender's office, do a buyer consultation. Then I went and showed the client a property. Then I came back. We grabbed late lunch at like 2:30. Didn't get to eat till lunch till 2:30. Then had to go send some more emails, make some more calls. I was laughing because I was lucky enough to have Bart driving me yesterday, so I had him tagging along. So I'm like, and I love, pro tip, if you can get Wi-Fi in your car, if you can afford it, get it. Because I pull that laptop out and I am on it in there. And I know you can work phone, but it's not the same. It is just not the same. I mean, I'm on there working, he's driving, we're working. Then we got back, I dropped him off, and then I went to an inspection. Inspection's 2 hours. You gotta sit there, like and I could have easily like pawned it off and said, oh, just I'll let the inspector in or get permission from the seller. The seller's agent really wanted me there, which I didn't care because I need to be there for my clients.
Me too.
They're first-time buyers. They needed to know that I had their back, that I supported them, helped them answer questions, because it's the biggest
purchase
financial transaction someone makes in a lifetime most of the time. You know, there are people that are investing in other things and doing other things, but for the average person, when they buy their home, it is the largest single financial transaction they'll ever make in a lifetime. Do you understand what kind of responsibility that is? And for me to just say, oh, just go out there and
I never
to be that flippant is really condescending and disrespectful in my opinion.
And it's like, for me, when I see agents do that, and I'm one of those agents, if you're gonna, unless it's vacant and a rehab house, the buyer's agent's going. You're going to the inspection.
And I've missed some inspections. Like I had an out-of-town buyer that wasn't going to be there for the inspection and the house was already vacant. I'm like, get permission from the listing agent.
I mean,
hey, is the inspector okay? John goes out there. John's one of our inspectors that we recommend. He's awesome. John Black.
Hey, John.
He goes out there, he does the inspection, he gets the report back. Me sitting there with him when the buyer's not there and the house is vacant is not doing anything. But if my buyer is able to be there, especially when they're a first-time buyer, shame on you if you're not there.
And it allows you to understand what's going on in the house too. So when when you're handing off,
when they get that 118-page report and they are having a meltdown, and I'm like, okay, because that happened this morning. So she got the report and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And I'm like, it's okay. And I used my friend Chet GPT. Chet. Bart calls it Chet. Your friend is Chet. So I used my friend Chet and I helped, and he didn't write my answer, but he helps organize my thoughts because I ramble a lot. And so I'm like rambling and he helps me organize so that I can respond to my thoughts about the report. And then I did another 35-minute phone call with the client to walk them through what she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That makes us feel so much better.
Because that's what they just want to be calmed down. They want to understand the process. That's like me going and buying a swimming pool. And you left me, my Eric, go pick one out, have it installed, and
think of the fraction of the amount that costs compared to a home.
I agree.
So I know that's a little off track because we were talking about consistency. So but I think these are important tools for people to understand what it looks like to be successful. It doesn't mean that you just write a contract, toss it on the side. Now I have a transaction coordinator, I have a marketing person, I have an operations manager, we have another VA starting. We have help, but when it really matters, we're there in the thick of it. And help is help. It doesn't replace you.
And I feel like even though with all that back end work, the clients don't really know that. I mean, all they know is you. You know, you may have the inspector or whatever, but really you're the go-to.
Well, you're the one with the 15 or 20 or 25 years of experience. That minimum wage or slightly above minimum wage admin, they haven't been on an inspection. They're not equipped to handle that conversation. Now, if it's something that needs to be put in DocuSign and a signature sent out, that's a whole other story, right? But in terms of consistency, I think how this relates is in how you show up for the client on a consistent basis. I think also communication on a regular basis. And quite frankly, you're going to have to put in the hours. If you think this is a job where you're going to just phone it in and not actually put in the work,
or you're
find another career. Find another career. There's no. Do you remember when somebody told us we could do none?
That's why I'm saying, you don't have to go to every inspection. People would stand up there and
preach it.
You can be out of here at 5 o'clock, make a visit, and you can.
You might be able to. You might be able to, but you're not going to earn the respect and the repeat business of those clients. You're not going to get the reviews that
Nope.
my ego needs those positive reviews. So if you've done business with me, please give me a positive review. Thank you. But also, I don't feel fulfilled by just doing that. The fulfillment comes in when the client sends you that message, like you sent me the other day, about like how happy they were about everything you did and how they couldn't have done this without you.
Yeah, I was at a closing this morning, and the husband said, I'm so glad we walked into that open house. And I said, thanks, I appreciate that. And she said, Kim, we burned through 2 or 3 agents. You know, what do you say? You don't ever want to, you know what I mean?
You can talk about what you do without diminishing what someone else did.
And I just said, happy to help. And so then the son flew in from Texas and said, you know, Kim, I was thinking about getting into real estate. I go, now you're going to steal my clients.
But he probably needs a good mentor.
That's what I said. I'm like, yeah. So I gave him the school, whatever. But it was just nice to hear that. I don't have to do anything. At least he said that to me. I felt good about it. I walked out, and that was it. So it was nice.
What else does consistency look like for you in business? Follow up like a boss, which is kind of a play on words because the CRM that we use is
holy cow.
Called Follow Up Boss. And I know what you're going to talk about right now.
Are we going to talk about Chet?
Chet, yeah, go ahead.
Insane. So I think follow up always was my thing anyway.
Me too.
Yeah, like it just.
I'm like a dog with a bone. Like I will follow you down the ends of the earth. I will follow up with you, and follow up with you.
Yeah.
Where the challenge I think comes in is as you add more and more leads to your pipeline and your capacity to be able to follow up with everyone. I don't ever want to lose a lead. No, here's the thing. We're human. We're going to lose people.
Sure.
You have to be okay with not every person working with you, not getting every listing, not every buyer choosing to work with you. Sometimes you're like, oh, that buyer bought with someone else. How did that happen? Right? But the consistent follow-up, so we're talking about consistency and then going into follow-up, that's the key. That's one of the keys of being successful in this business.
It is.
And so the capacity to be able to do that at a high level is going to be dependent on some of the systems that you have. Your systems, your tools, your text, your check-ins, what are you doing? And so talk about Chet now.
So I was, I gotta say, and you know me, I am not techie. I'm not.
The techie one. You're the
but I was doing my follow-up this week, and I saw the little stars and I was actually following up with.
So you were doing it manually.
Yep, I was doing it manually.
You saw there was a new tool in our CRM.
It was insane. I was so damn happy because it literally, from all the conversations, all the emails that I sent out over the past couple months, you literally click on the little tool and it writes the text, email, whatever you need based on the conversation or the interaction you guys have had, from phone call to emails to text, everything. And you should have seen me going to town. Well, you would see.
It expands your capacity to be able to help more people because you can follow up. And what would have taken you probably 4 hours, you were able to do in an
hour at least. Because I said my goal was to do 50, and I think I got to 52 and maybe a little over an hour. Yep. But with that, for 2 days I did that. I think the first goal I had was like, I'm going to do 30, see how it is. The next day was 50. I did 52. So that's 82 follow-up in 2 days. 2 hours, along with my showings and closings and whatever.
You have a final walkthrough.
Yeah.
You're going to put together a closing basket and a gift. And like there's a lot. It's not just, hey, show up to closing, grab a check.
Yeah, no, it's final walkthrough, do all that. But out of those 82, I had 12 people respond and 3 clients, one I'm actually taking out tomorrow. So 3-4 months ago, people that came in literally were like, okay, we're ready.
Well, and I think that's where the gold is.
Sure is.
There's a saying, it goes, the fortune is in the follow-up. That really is true. Like, anyone who's just looking for that immediate gratification in this business, you're not going to be successful.
It's not sustainable.
No.
Because you constantly have to be coming in.
And when you get that Zillow lead or that Movoto lead or that listings to lead or wherever, that Facebook, Google, Instagram, wherever that lead's coming from, they're in a nurture stage at that point. You're going to have to nurture that lead for a period of time. So some of the people that we're talking with, I have a closing next week with someone who I met at an open house last year.
Yeah, mine too.
I've been working with them for over a year, showing them property. No, this was May of last year, so now we're almost in June, and they're going to close in June, so it was over a year. But like literally following up, checking in, seeing how they're doing, where are they at in the phase, helping them with all the things, explaining real estate, showing them properties, finding out what's important to them, where they're at in their lifestyle. lifestyle, what's important for their kids, schools, all of these things. Like, that's the fortune is in the follow-up. Follow-up like a boss.
You know what? It's funny we're talking about that because early on in my career when I came in, I was at something and was hearing somebody speak. And they said, I don't know why, and it's been 10, 15 years later, I remember somebody saying, follow-up, your money is in the follow-up. Your money is in the follow-up. And I was like,
well, even back to the days when I was a recruiter, when I was like out of the sales end of it and in the office building, a growth phase of building, real estate offices, the most success I had was follow-up. So, I mean, that's where you get it. It's not the first time, the second time. It's sometimes the 8th or the 10th or the 15th time that person is ready. Now, I had the buyer that I met with yesterday with the lender that I did buyer consult, someone I met 4 months ago was finally ready to have a conversation. She was still worried about like, oh, can I qualify? What's going to happen? I'm nervous about this. I'm nervous about that. But the fact that I stayed in business with her. And then the other one I wrote last weekend, and we didn't win the offer because there were 20 offers on the property. But it was a lead that I got over a year ago from Facebook. And she said, I have a friend that's a realtor. She goes, but I really like how persistent you are and how much you're sending me listings, you're doing things. My friend just wants to wait for me to find something and tell her to show it to me and write a contract. She goes, I need someone who's actively working for me. Yes. That's the difference. I think about, and we're talking about us, but I think about some of the agents in our team that are doing really well right now. Yeah. Like, okay, Katie, you're killing it, girl.
She is on fire.
But she is persistent with the follow-up. She's in those Facebook groups, the mom groups. She's meeting people, but then she takes it one step further. She's looking in the private network. She's finding off-market opportunities. Like, she works.
Yeah, she's
and that's
on
what
fire.
It takes, I think, to be successful in this. Corey, same thing. Like, I think
Corey's
about more
on
of the people
too.
that are, and I love seeing the young people who have success. Like, they're learning from us and they're doing all the things, right? And Kristen, like, if I think about like the 3 that are really
that are
young,
starting
that are
to
just taken off, but that's what they're doing. They are just tenacious.
And
tenacious is the word.
And they watch us. They're watching us and they're seeing, I feel like when you're on the phone all the time and you're busy and they are listening.
Well, I make all my phone calls to all my clients right there in our office, the way our setup is. And I know people are like, I have to have a private office. I don't want a private office. First of all, I'm too social. I don't I act like I'm antisocial and I don't like people, but really I want to be around people.
Me too.
Like, it's important.
Me too.
So we have like a big circle of desks that are on the outer perimeter, and then the inner perimeter we have like a big shared table where we can do trainings and have office space. And we have 2 rooms set up like that. We have private rooms if someone needs to go and make a call that's private in nature. But when I'm making my calls to my clients in terms of lead generation, I'm doing it right there in front of them so they can hear me over and over again.
You bet.
And I have watched Corey grow in terms of how comfortable he is on the phone just by how much he's listened to me on the phone, which is so fun.
That's how I learned too, just by listening in our little bullpen.
When I think about too, like the follow-up us, when I think about texts and check-ins, one of the things I love about, and you can have whatever CRM, any CRM is going to work if you use it. I just happen to love follow-up us. They should be paying me for this. Like, maybe they'll run an ad for us here. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. But the other thing that's nice is you can see how many text messages, calls, emails, drip campaigns. The people that I'm working with, there's like 240 text messages, 619 texts. Like, it's not a small number.
It's a lot.
But I mean, you're dealing with someone's single largest transaction they're ever going to make in a lifetime. Do they have to feel comfortable with you that they have a solid relationship with you?
I think so.
Let's talk a little bit about brand. So brand loud, brand real, play on words, but show your personality. I think that's so important. How important is that?
I think that's, so you can talk to people about things, but you have to have that connection. You have to connect with them in some way. And I feel like that puts the icing on the cake.
Yeah. I get a decent amount of business from social media, and it's not from like...
Are we talking branding?
In general. But I know my personnel, so I mean, we have marketing, we've got good branding.
I think our branding's great.
We have fantastic. We have a great marketing team. We've got Corey who oversees all of them. Let's just give that kid a shout out. He's building a phenomenal sales business, and he oversees the entire admin team.
He's doing well.
But in terms of like our marketing, we've got a clean, consistent brand. We've got systems that happen. So when there's an open house that happens on one of our listings, so if you list with us, it's not like, hey, let's do an open house tomorrow. There's a whole branding campaign and process and image that happens for about about 10 days leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a whole process. So how many people did we have through Jan's open house in Homewood last summer?
Over 150 people.
The exact number was 174.
Ooh,
107.
a lot.
In how long was that open house? How many
3 hours?
3 hours. 12 to 3, 174 people through. Do you think that was we just showed up and put a sign in the yard that day?
God, no. No.
But I think that's where branding happens. So, and not just branding, but systems and processes that help flow into that.
Sure.
So we're starting 10 days out. We're like, okay, what kind of ads are we going to run? How are we going to market it? What kind of signage are we going to do? How are we planning ahead of time where we're going to put our flyers out in the neighborhood? Like all of the things that we're doing. And if anyone wants our 20-step system on how we do an open house, I think it's 174 people. Just send me a DM, follow us, like us, and send us a message. We'll share it with you. But that I think shows who we are. It shows our personality. We're doing personal videos. I do.
Yeah.
Even when
you do way more than I do.
But even when I look like an idiot, I'm still doing videos. I mean, I'm like people want to know who I am.
You bet.
And I think that's important in who you
too.
are. Like they want to know that you're out there working for them, that you're doing what it takes, that you're not out freaking bike riding and like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like, are you working for me or are you just waiting back to collect a paycheck so that you can go hang out on a mountaintop somewhere?
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And I think packaging it all together in a professional way is important too, because I've seen, don't get me, I didn't want to go down dirty and negative, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
I have seen shabby, shitty. I think Juju could make better marketing pieces. Like we're not in the 1980s. We're making a flyer on a Word document. Like Canva is not that hard, guys. Like learn it. And if you can't do it, hire a virtual assistant for like $6 an hour. You can have your shit look better. Like don't be a dummy. This is someone's single largest financial transaction they're gonna ever make in a lifetime. How did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Single largest financial transaction they'll ever make in a lifetime. Hire a professional photographer. Do the drone video. Do the video. And have professional marketing pieces that you post online. Now that doesn't mean don't stand in front of the house and do a real video of like, hey, here's where I am. But I also have on my website and on my listing that professional video too. It's a combination. You have to marry both together. If all you're doing is your own homemade shit, then you're doing your client a disservice because you're being a cheap ass. Yeah. Sorry, I get a soapbox about that.
And a story.
I made you start doing videos.
I know. Actually, as we're talking, I have an open house tomorrow. And I'm like, I might as well just do a video.
But even the professional, I'm like, hey, your photographer to do that. I'm like, send them out there and do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Because what we did 10 years ago is not what we need to do today.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the agents that aren't willing to evolve and change with what we need are not going to be in the business in the future. And you're doing your clients a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. And if you have team members, you're doing them a disservice too.
I agree. I feel like that with all the AI that's coming out. If you don't jump on, me and TikTok. I was on there and they were saying, hey,
you got me in the TikTok.
I can't live without it. Can't live without it. They said they had this guy selling a course. It is what it is. And it was like, if you're not on the bandwagon with AI, learning it and evolving with it, you are literally going to be left in the dust.
You're dying. You're literally dying a slow death and you don't even realize it.
And I would have never hopped on board had Chet been rolling in the office for the past month.
Well, when I met with this lender yesterday and we were just bullshitting about stuff and I'm like, you should have seen, like I opened up a whole new dimension to his world. He's like, holy crap, Colleen. And it's not my lender, it's just somebody I was having a conversation with. Like, he's not like my business partner or anything, but like I appreciate sharing knowledge and information. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I am not the guru of gurus. I know enough to make myself dangerous, but just the few things that like if you grasp onto and learn, and I will give props to my company that I'm affiliated with right now because they have jumped into social media, video, and AI like nobody's business and have been pushing it for a while. Yeah. So I feel like I'm able to stay more relevant and with the younger crowd in that, but still keep my experience and my professionalism. And that's a really fun thing to do.
It is. Because I woke up today and one of my deals was dying and I could lose it too. Like anybody. It was personal. It's my son's. And I instantly 7:30 this morning, get it. And I thought, no, don't do it. Chat, let's go. Nicer. You know how I started it? Chat, please make this email stern but friendly.
There you go.
And 3 paragraphs. I mean,
because I know you were like, F you, stupid a-hole.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck, motherfucker.
Yeah. And so that's our initial reaction. And so allowing us to articulate how we feel, but in a professional yet stern, friendly way.
Absolutely. It was great. great. You can't. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're in AI, you're in.
Yeah, it's good.
It is.
Going back to brand a little bit, and like I'm a little obsessive about
You are.
like how things look, and
You Did you
if
just yell at some?
Yeah.
Who did you just yell at?
Corey.
Was
She's like, I don't understand, Colleen. I'm like, that looks like shit. He's like, well, at least I'm doing it. I'm like, I understand, but you know what? We're the front face. We're portraying an image, and he's doing a phenomenal job. But if I don't communicate what's important to me and how I want the brand to look and what I want, then it just continues like that.
Yes.
And so that was the conversation. I'm like, hey, I could have just let it. I just could have said not anything and not hurt your feelings. But at the same time, and then so he's got to convey it to the marketing assistant and tell him like, hey, we want our image to look more like this, and what's that going to look like, and how's the brand going to look?
And we are consistent.
But you're dealing with things that are $500,000, $750,000. There's a piece of branding that needs to go alongside
Yep,
with that.
I agree with that.
And I see some of these agents that put photos up and they're sideways, or they've got something that looks like a 1980s Word document flyer. Like if you're using the MLS flyer, like that just puts the photo in the...
Look at your face. When you walk into a listing and they have them stapled together.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's the flyer.
It's got the big photo in the middle and then just like the bullet points, and it's like a Word. It looks like a 1980s Word document.
There's
no other way to describe
MLS.
it. Yeah. And so when you click on flyer from the MLS, because you don't know any better, that's what it gives you.
Yeah.
But
I guess it's something.
No. Don't take a listing. Go partner with someone. Go join a team. Go. You owe it to your clients, and you owe it to yourself and your own reputation to do better.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not going to jump up. It's ridiculous. And you see the stuff that, brand matters.
It does.
Polo wouldn't put it out.
God.
How about Apple? You think Apple would put an ad like that out?
God, no.
What are some of the other big companies that are out there? Amazon?
Yep.
Like commercials. What are some of the commercials? How about some of the car companies? Would they have something that looks like that? No. Brand matters. Image matters. I mean, you don't have to drive around in a high-end vehicle and, $2,000 suit, but how you present your properties
My boy does.
matters. I do like him. He's a great agent. His brand is great. His image is great. His message is on point.
Yeah.
But you know what? He keeps his brand on point, but he's still humble. I saw him talking about eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the car all the time.
Yeah.
So I got to give him a shout out. But anyway, so next item, we're zooming right through. We're running out of time. We're like zooming right through. Number 4 I have is know your shit.
Yeah.
Right here, shit. Know your shit.
And if I don't, you have to I'm never embarrassed at.
But I'm saying like market stats, you need to know what's going on in the market.
You're talking about know the market.
Neighborhood expertise. Yep. That's your confidence builder. Like you need to know what you're trying. If you're going to do an open house, you go pull the comps in the area. Yep. You research the neighborhood. You don't walk in there like, well, I don't know. How old is this? What is that? How much are the taxes? What's going on in the community? What are the schools? I had an agent the other day, maybe it was a couple months ago. I took this buyer out. I'm showing them properties and they want a specific school district. So Neuqua Valley and Naperville is a very popular school district. Yep. People just die for this school district. It's very highly rated. And it's one of the higher rated schools and people really want that school district. I have another one right now that wants Waubonsie, which is another Naperville one, but that's another story for another day. But they wanted that specific school district. We looked at like 15 properties. They find the one. Now I'm basing it on the printout, the MLS, what they put in the MLS. I'm scanning them, making sure.
No.
Buyer looks at me and says, are you sure this is Neuqua Valley? And I'm like, well, let me pull the boundaries and double check. We're in the general vicinity of it, but I didn't look street by street of the boundary map, but the listing sheet said Neuqua Valley. I called the agent. She's like, oh yeah, I think it is. I'm like, you think it is? She goes, well, my husband works for the schools. I'm sure it's right. Shame on you, because I went and pulled the boundary map, and sure enough, it's 5 blocks across the line. It was not in Neuqua Valley. Oh, not only that, it had no basement. It had a basement. And I don't know what else she had, but I was just like,
over half.
But my buyers were so devastated because here we look at all these properties. They fall in love with this one. It's the one, and they needed to be in that school district. They wanted to be in that school district. And now, not only do I look like a moron, the listing agent looks like a moron. For sure. And so I could kind of shrug it off like, I researched it. Here's what I found. And I was the one that told them it wasn't. The buyer was kind of, but like knowing your market is so important. I cannot underestimate or overstress how important that is. Knowing the difference between the different style of homes and what they sell for. And if you're a newer age in this business, if you don't have clients and you don't have buyers, you should be going to open houses. You should be touring properties. You should be getting to know your inventory in the marketplace because that's how you build confidence. I remember when we first started, that's what they told us, go tour 5 homes a day. Yep. Right? Yeah. Go tour 5 homes a day. okay. That's how you learn your market.
Or at least look on MLS at.
I will say yes, but how many times do you look at something on MLS and then you walk inside and it looks totally different?
Oh, well, all the time.
There you go.
Yeah.
You need to
All the
go
time.
look at those properties. You need to know if you're in Oak Lawn and someone wants to be in Eagle Ridge, where's Eagle Ridge? If you're going to work that area, how many times out of every 10 clients, how many of them want Eagle Ridge? 1 or 2?
Yep, at
Like,
least.
there are certain subdivisions in certain communities that are sought after,
Yeah.
and if you're going to work those communities, you need to understand
Yep.
when you're in Tinley Park, you need to know the dividing line between District 230 and
Absolutely.
Tinley Park District. 2 different high
Yep.
schools. There's a dividing line. People want one or the other.
Yep.
Some people really want to be in Tinley Park. Some people really want to be in Andrew.
You bet.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's neither one is right or wrong, but what the client wants matters, and you need to understand that
Yep.
and know the difference. And there's a price point difference between the two.
There is. I closed on one today that.
Tinley Park's 218, right?
Yes.
218 or 230.
Yep.
You need to know your districts.
Yep. So the lady who was selling, so I had the buyer, the lady who was selling literally was moving right across Harlem.
So that she can be in another school district.
So she can be in the other school district, not because the one she was in was bad, but the other, her child was a band nerd. Her words, not mine. And Tinley was more symphonic, you know, and 218
Yeah, it's
was more
not.
symphonic.
Sometimes it's not about better or worse. It's about what the needs of the client are.
You
Sometimes if you have I'm getting goosebumps now about this one. Like special ed programs. Special ed programs are different in each school. If you have a special ed child, those needs are going to be different. You as an agent should study your market, know the neighborhood, and know what your community is.
Yeah, special ed. I was just thinking about of a client who is looking strictly for 218 because of the special ed program for her son.
And then I would say
Super
number 5
important.
is invest in leverage early.
It's a hard one for me.
Now, that could be as simple as VAs.
Yep, I did have VAs.
TCs,
Yep.
help at home.
Yep.
And sometimes leverage, it comes in the form of technology, like your friend Chet.
Gotta like check.
Right.
And you know what I do? You know, $4 or $5 an hour if you want 10, 20 hours. Those VAs, I mean, granted they're not here, but the VAs, I mean, they can take a lot off your plate.
Okay, how many times did you pay your kids to stuff envelopes
Absolutely.
and go hang things on doors and all that? Those are all types of leverage. So don't be afraid to invest in leverage early. And here's where I would spin that a little bit. Don't feel like you always have to be a solo. Sometimes join a network, a group, or a team where they have that leverage that you can tap into. You don't have to train them. You don't have to hire them. You don't have to hold them accountable. But you can still plug into all the leverage that they offer.
That's what I did because there was no way I was going to start, and because my business is busy, there was no way I was going to start doing flyers, and I don't even know. Like,
so is the value you get from the group that we have worth the
absolutely
investment?
just I don't want to deal with social media. Please, here's what I did. You guys can do that. Here's all my paperwork. You guys do that. I just want to keep it moving.
Well, you're in the front face in the relationship with the client,
You bet.
and you let them handle some of the back end.
But
that's what
invaluable.
allows you to be so hands-on with your clients because you have that support.
Because yes, for sure.
What's one tip you think most agents totally ignore?
Honestly, I see it every day, and it's follow-up. I watch it, and it's so important.
Well, they think if they can't convert that client immediately,
then it's done.
It's a bad lead.
Yeah, it's a bad lead.
I want the good
team
leads.
leads suck.
Where's the good leads?
Yeah, the team. And I feel like the more I get into it, I shouldn't say it like that. I think the more I'm in, like, I feel like people lost my train because I was trying to figure out.
You were trying to be nice.
I was trying to
because
be
we've
nice.
talked about this before about how Kim's the nice one and I'm the mean one, and that's okay. So I'll share my answer to that question. One tip that I think most agents totally ignore is they think that they can do it all alone. They're afraid to give up a portion of their money in order to have the support and resources that they need.
I actually was going to say that, but I was trying to find a nice way to say that they want it all. People that are coming in.
When did you know you couldn't do this business alone? Each time, up and down.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years into it.
And I will say, I'm just going to speak for you here. I will say there's a difference between knowing you can't do it alone and being taken advantage of.
For sure.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to have support. It's okay to be part of a group. It's okay to be part of a team. But also know where the line is in terms of, are they taking, like, am I working for a wait? We talked about this on last week's episode, right? With the team building and everything. Like, how much am I giving up in return for that?
Sure.
And so finding that happy medium is really hard for a lot of people.
And I don't think, and we see it here, being on teams, when you have people people doing things for EVAs or TCs, it does take a lot of that, off your plate. So it allows you to do more business, and they deserve to be compensated. Nobody works for free, so you pay that or you split.
There is some truth to you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for sure. At the same time, don't be taken advantage of. And this goes back to where we were like several weeks ago. I feel like every week we have a similar thread in what we talk about, but we get more different specifics. Is like who you surround yourself with matters. Trust your circle. If you have a great circle, it makes a difference. If you're around greedy people who are just trying to make money off your back, yeah, of course you're going to get taken advantage of.
And we've all been there.
But if you're, oh my God, if I had $1 for every time somebody tried to make money off my back and was a greedy MFer, right? But at the same time, I also will always come from an abundance mindset. I will share with those around me on a consistent basis. And I'm a giver. Like, I'm going to give. If you're in my circle and you're in my heart, I'm going to take care of you forever. I don't care. Like, if I have $1, you're getting 50 cents.
And I will share with everybody.
I know you will.
I will share with everybody as long as we're on the same path.
So I've coached hundreds of agents.
Yeah.
So what's the common thing that I see holding most of them back?
This is what, that's
a question for me, right?
For sure.
I would say, first of all, they think they know it all too soon. And then at the same time, they don't have enough confidence in themselves. I would say that agents need to just go out there and do it. Invest in themselves, continue to grow. Because so many agents think that they've arrived so early on. We talked about this the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they got a couple sales under their belt and they think they're all that, right? And I don't mean that in a condescending or shitty way. I mean like, okay, like how full of you are you of yourself?
We saw that.
I mean, I can think of like half a dozen people that we've just had that conversation about like, maybe you need to just dial it back just a little bit. Yeah. Just a little bit. Now, but that doesn't mean, and there's a difference between confidence and cocky. Mm-hmm. And confidence is when and I think Alex Hormozy talks about this too. Confidence comes from when you've done it before.
Sure.
Or you have proven that you can do it.
Sure.
Versus just like thinking you're going to manifest it to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's not saying you shouldn't have positive affirmations. You shouldn't put it out there and you shouldn't grow. But I also think that continuing to invest in yourself. I mean, we just did a call the other day with Chris Heller. Mm-hmm. Like he did a group call for our team, which was fantastic. Like here's one of the most successful real estate teams in the world.
And such a great
CEO of multiple, of one of the biggest real estate companies, and then moved on to another top company, another lead company. Like, I mean, he's a really successful, talented, smart guy. Did a session for our team. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm here to learn. And you and I looked at each other afterwards and we're like, what did we learn? We took away that, like, even though these are things that we know already, sometimes we fall away from them.
You do.
And so getting back to the things that we know work and consistently doing those things.
I will say this, that was the reason why I hopped on board, where I was like, I think that night I hopped in and was like, all right, let's go. And it was because you are reminded of, and sometimes that's what it takes. And people who do, you're right when you say, when people who think they have it licked and they know it all and they don't revisit that kind of, or
they think they've arrived.
That's when they start to fall apart because it's true.
So in terms of like holding them back, you have to have confidence and grit and tenacity to go out there, get your teeth knocked in and keep going. Because there have been plenty of times where I've lost a listing, I've lost a buyer, I've got in over my head. And I talked to the agents that I coach about this. I'm like, you know what? When you learned to ride a bike, did you just pick it up and just take off the first time? How many times did you fall down? Mm-hmm. You got to get back up. But once you learn to ride it, cruising along, but also if you wanted to add, if you wanted to do tricks on that bike, would you invest in learning?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So it's all about continuing to invest in yourself, invest in your growth, and then repetitively learning. And, I think they say, oh, well, once you learn how to bike, you can just hop right back on. Well, sometimes you're a little rusty when you hop back right back on. So learning to kind of continually hone that skill, or like working out. You go to the gym and work out, you're like, okay, I built some muscle, and then you don't just stop, right?
Right.
You have to keep that going in order to keep it going. Mm-hmm. Kim, you've got a superpower with people. How do you build connection fast? Because I see you do it.
It's just so natural for me now. I instantly, and this is for any agent new coming in, I instantly look for a common bond. It's something that I can pick up easily, and I don't care who you are. You can be the biggest jag-off asshole, and you're going to walk away liking me. Yeah. Because I am going to come with a common bond. I'm going to look for that common ground we have, that's something that we have that...
You're good at building building rapport.
Yeah. So like if somebody comes in and they're, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, okay, great. So what do you do for a living? Well, I'm an electrician. Oh, my sons are too. Oh, what union? I'm just, oh, so's my son.
Well, it's almost, they call that, it's a pattern interrupt because they're like coming in all angry, and then you throw something at them and it immediately takes the temperature down.
And it does. And so I look for that naturally with people.
You just intuitively do it.
Intuitively.
It's intuitive. Yes. But I mean, people can get better at that. So that's something like if you wanted to really develop your skills, you could take classes and courses and watch videos about how to build rapport and how to to create pattern interrupt and to take the temperature down, and what does that look like?
And I always think this, like, we're here, in these transactions, and when you're meeting new people, we're all here for a common bond.
Isn't the goal to help the buyer get the house they love?
Absolutely.
To help the seller
sell
their house at a fair price or a good price so that they can move on to the next thing, and for everyone else to do their job in the
newer agent. And I always used to think this isn't just one and done. Like, I would go overboard to make my client happy because I want that client to tell everybody he knows I got the greatest real estate agent in town.
I want every client to walk away feeling like they had the best experience.
You bet. And I had their back.
I had your back, I actually said that to a client in an email today. I go, no matter what you decide, I've got your back.
You bet.
Because I do. To me, it's not about that one transaction. I'm going to be in the business forever. You don't want to buy this house, don't buy this house.
Right.
I'm going to give you the honest opinion. I'm going to tell you, you know what? This is a great house, and at your price point, and the neighborhoods you want to be in, you're not going to find the perfect house, but this is going to be a great, solid property. And is it going to have some cosmetic stuff? And is there going to be some maintenance stuff? But at the price point that you're at, this is not a shithole, for a lack of a better term, right?
Absolutely.
And so, you're going to have to do some stuff. Maybe this doesn't work. Maybe you're going to have to update that. And that's okay, because you're going to be a homeowner and you're going to build equity and you're going to invest in yourself and in your future for the rest of your life. So that's okay. What's something you still do every week to stay on track? Something like your non-negotiables.
In business? I think we just talked about it. I mean, it's follow-up.
For both of us it is. It's follow-up, follow-up. And follow-up some more. If we're obsessive about follow-up.
If I don't do anything else, it's
I think there's a statistic that like 75 or 85% of your business comes from lead follow-up, not lead generation.
Oh, for sure. I just texted a client that I saw the date because something popped up on the MLS that I knew she was looking at. They don't pop up often. And I texted her and I said, hey, are you still in the market? I'm just checking in, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she said, yes, that was it. Then I texted her, well, let me go ahead and send this to you. I'm more than happy to show it to you this weekend if you don't have an agent. Because did she ghost me for April 28th was the last communication we had. And she said, I'm not. And I said, okay, great. But that's, follow. And what you just said a little while ago, knowing the market, having your finger out, that popped on the market.
So I give Bart a hard time about a lot of things. Like he definitely does not work as hard as the two of us. I will say that. And, I'm going to talk about two more things. So as many leads as you have in your database, in your past clients, sphere referral, just internet leads, everything, I think you've got like 4,000 or 5,000 people in your database. What are you doing this weekend?
Open house.
How many?
2.
So you're doing open house Saturday and open house Sunday, right?
And
So when we're talking about things that agents should do to be successful, you've got 15 years in the business, you've got a solid database, you follow up with everyone, yet you never stop lead generating for business. You get Zillow leads coming in, you have other internet leads coming in, you have a solid sphere of influence, and yet you're still doing open houses and putting yourself out there. So I'm going to give you props.
Well, you do the same thing.
I don't have them this weekend, but normally I do,
And Mr. Mike, he's solid database, high price point.
Sells.
I mean, he's
a good agent. He really is. He's a strong, solid agent. I forgot when I was giving props to everybody earlier. I should give one to him.
Because he did. He was the one who was like, "What are you doing?"
He's like, "Kim, come do an open house." Kim, do an
open house.
I was gonna give Bart props earlier though. Like he might not like physically be out there working his. That guy. When we talked about know your shit. First of all, he's like the pricing guru. And the reason why he's the pricing guru is because he literally looks at every new property that comes to the market
crazy.
in the whole Illinois market, like from the Wisconsin border border down to downstate
Yeah.
to the Indiana border and past DeKalb. Like he looks at every single new property every single day. So that's why he understands pricing so well.
Sure.
But also when I have a buyer that's looking for something suspicious,
Yeah.
something very specific,
He is on it.
I will tell him, I'm like, hey, I need a buyer that's looking in Romeoville or Plainfield, 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms with a basement, fairly updated. They can only go to 375. Like I give him all the criteria and he's the one that brings me. He's like, here's this one.
Yep.
And he like, because in this market, you have to be on it right away. And if you just set up a generic search, so those of you, there's nothing wrong with setting up a search for your clients, but if you're just setting up a generic search, forgetting about it, expecting the client to call you, forget it, get out of the business. I'm in there, I'm looking, I'm screenshotting, I'm texting this one or the private network. I'm like, hey, here you go. How's this? What do you think about this one? Does that kind of fit you? I said, oh, this one's not. So I have a buyer that's looking in Eagle Ridge in Oak Lawn. I'm like, this one's not in Eagle Ridge, but it's right next door to it. It has the 4 bedrooms on the 1 floor like you're looking for because they want all bedrooms on the same floor. Like there's specific criteria that these people want. And you can't just set up a generic search for that. But he, like Bart is the pricing guru and we call him the house whisperer because he finds the house. He'll be like, here, they said they wanted a pool, they wanted this, because he literally goes through 5 o'clock in the morning. This guy's up on his computer in his office, literally scrolling through, looking at every new listing. If you talk about someone who knows their shit in terms of what's on the market and what's coming to the market, that's the guy.
I'm Instagram.
I am so glad I have him in my corner when it comes to that. And you can do the same thing. You've done the same thing too. You're like, oh, I have a buyer, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, here, what about this one for your buyer? Like having someone like that in our circle.
Yeah, he's the one you tell. I'm looking for this,
especially
ABC.
when you have something like that's just specific or tough.
Yep.
So when we talk about something everybody does.
Property?
What?
Did he find Joe's property?
He finds every property.
Elgin Joe.
Yeah, that one, Jeanette in Tinley that has that beautiful house with the pool.
Oh,
he found that property.
Yeah.
Because she was looking all over the place. He's like, this is the one. We got in there before they allowed showing. I'm like, hey, can we get in there? I know you're not allowing showings till Saturday, but my buyer really needs. We got in there before they allowed showings. She loved it. We wrote the offer. We pushed to get it accepted, and we got it done. Yeah. So like the things that you're doing to go above and beyond make a difference. So one thing that changed everything. So I will say saying yes to a coach when you couldn't afford it. But also, we've talked about this before. There are a lot of coaches out there, and I've seen some posts on social media that have not walked the walk, let's say, or don't have their audio doesn't match their visual, right? So like they're burning themselves out there like they're this guru. So let me teach you how to become a capper, and I've never capped before in my career.
I've never even been close to capping.
Right? Like, not me. I'm talking about
these
people
like
that put themselves out there as gurus.
Oh,
I can show you how to sell 100 homes using social media, but you've never sold more than 4. Or, there's people out there like that. So I think credibility matters when you hire a coach, but still hire a coach if you can and if they're the right coach. I would also say joining a brokerage that gave you freedom.
Yep, that was big.
It's one of the things that I love about where we're at right now because we can build our business, our team structure. We can pay our agents more and there's no restrictions on that. Like we're allowed to do a lot of things.
This has probably been because I've been at a few.
Yeah, we've both been at a couple, 2, 3, 4.
A couple. I would say this brokerage right now is probably given the most freedom to their agent.
I love that in terms of like, I don't know if intellectual or artistic freedom. Artistic freedom is allowed. Mm-hmm. Model, in terms of what model I want to employ my business, freedom is allowed, but they still keep us hardcore on the clients, which I love.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need to stay in the business. So we're going to make sure you follow the law and you don't get your stuff into trouble. Other than that, do what you want. And we're even going to teach you some different things to do along the way. But if you don't want to do it our way, do it your way. Yep. Learning to say no to the wrong things or people.
And get out while you can.
Yeah.
Quickly.
I mean, it's okay to leave somewhere after you join there if it's not the right place. It's okay to say no to someone who acts like they're bigger and better than you when you disagree fundamentally with what they're putting out there. What do you, I have some other little tidbits I want to add here. So we talked about consistency. Consistency wins. Passion's cute, but habits close deals. Yeah. Right? It's all about your habits. What are you doing every day? You're following up every day, whether it's on the phone, whether it's via text, whether it's via email. You're like breaking it up.
Mailer everything.
You're mailing. Oh my God, you're so mailing. We left that out. She's like the knick-knack mailer. She got the little seeds in there, the little notes, the little smiley faces. pieces.
I still do
door hangers.
Door hangers.
If you have a client that wants to live in a certain neighborhood, you're out there knocking the doors, putting the door hangers out. So consistency wins. Habits close deals. You can't scale chaos. So build systems before you need them. I know I've been pushing follow-up boss. And that's one of like 7 or 8 tools that we use on a consistent basis that all seem to coincide and work together.
And it takes a while.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to use it for the things I needed to use it for in the beginning, but once I embraced the tools, it actually gave me more freedom.
Yeah.
And then like kind of the things that we have integrated into it, like our cards and our cards, follow boss, and then the leading gauge and the agent fire fellow, like they all work together.
And I feel it's almost been a year that they've been, and they're just, you can start to see them now working. Like just, and it's with everything or with anything. I feel like it takes a year.
Well, that's the thing. Like you can't just go to this shiny object, that shiny object, that shiny object. If you're going to do something, commit to doing it consistently over a long period of time to see the fruit of your results. Yeah. I also have written down here, being loud on social media isn't optional anymore. Like you gotta put your voice out there. That people say, I don't like social media, I don't want to be out there. Like this is your business. The world isn't. What do you do every single night when you lay in bed? What do you do?
I'm a TikTok.
You're a TikTok junkie. I
know. Junkie. Instagram, the second.
Instagram's your number 2.
You know.
So I'm Facebook number 1, Instagram number 2, TikTok number 3. You're the opposite, which is fine. Yeah. But between the two of us, we can literally cover everything.
Absolutely.
But I mean, we were talking earlier. I'm like, oh, I just bought this new vitamin. You're like, did you see it on TikTok? I'm like, I did. We are literally like the purchases that we make, the people that we trust, the business that we do is all related to what we see on social. Now that doesn't mean we follow it blindly. Like if I see something on TikTok, I'm going to research it on Google. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to read the reviews. I'm going to do all that. But as an agent who's dealing with someone's single largest financial transaction you'll ever make in a lifetime, you owe it to yourself and to your clients, especially your seller clients, to be on social media. Now that doesn't mean you should be dancing like a dancing monkey on like a talk show or something. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to make yourself look like a fool, but you should be out there. I think there's a happy medium between something that's really boring and something that makes you look ridiculous, and just be authentic.
Sure. I think people like that.
They want to see the real you. Yeah, your life.
Why do you think our boy does so well? Because he slides inside. Yeah. Number 1 agent.
Yeah, you're right.
Personable.
Yeah. I love this next one I have written. No one is coming to save your real estate career. Do the work.
That's probably the biggest one. Nobody is going to save it for you. You're going to have to put in the work to get out what you need. Which brings me to a lot of people that have come and gone. Like, what are you doing?
We've had agents come and go from our team that they're like, you're not helping me, you're not doing. I'm like, I will help you to the end of the earth if you help yourself. I'm not going to do the work for you. Been there, done that, not doing that again.
Absolutely. I'd rather not have. No.
You have to do the work and the business will follow.
You bet.
Time in on the right things and it will come out. And then the last thoughts I have here is stop trying to be perfect, be visible, be helpful, and be human. I always say progress over perfection.
That's right. Because that is true.
I mean, we're human beings in this journey together. Be visible, be helpful. We say work hard, be kind. Same thing, right? And be human.
Yep.
And with that, that's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Peace out, my friends. I love you. Follow us, like us, subscribe, listen. We're on all the channels, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. And go out and do some epic shit.
Woo!